Hello there, and welcome to another Drake Council on Aging art tutorial. Okay, and today we are going to have a blast because we are doing this baby. Easter egg, spring egg, whatever works for you. Okay, so let me introduce myself. Those of you who do not know, I'm Joan Turner, the resident artist at the Drake Council on Aging, and during COVID, when everyone was kind of at home, we started doing some tutorials on Drake It TV, and they had become so popular that we decided we're just going to continue them. Continue on. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. So, what you will need is a palette, which I am using just paper plates for. And and anyone who has seen these before knows that the camera is in reverse. So when I go like this, I really mean to do this so that you can actually see it. I see in reverse, but you're actually seeing it the right way. So that's all that counts. So I'm using a paper plate as a palette. You should have a source picture like this. If you have a physical Drake It Council on Aging newsletter, a picture of it will be in there. If you get an email, it will be in the email, or you can just take a still of this. Okay, it's a little bit pixelated, but you get a general idea. You will also need a rock, which has been included in your DCOA art package. Okay, so what's been happening is the Drake Council on Aging has been handing out art kits or packages. They have paint in them and whatever supplies that you will need. Okay, so in this month's art supply kit, you will have a rock. Okay, and I tried to pick rocks that sort of look like egg shapes. All right, so this is kind of a big one that one of my other students is doing. So the egg-shaped rocks that you have are probably, a little bit smaller, which would be a little bit easier to work with. But we like big eggs too. Okay, so you will need a rock. And this one has been pre-painted white. All right, you can pre-paint yours white. You could do it in off-white. If I look at this picture, it's kind of a cream colored background there. So I'm going to say like right here, kind of a cream color. And there's only a little bit of it there. But you do want to have a base on your rock to kind of make it easier to paint on. Okay, so you want the picture, you want the palette, you want the rock. You also now need the paint. All right, so in your paint kits, if you've picked one up, you will have the three primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue. You also have white and black. Okay, so in this picture, there is some purple and some green and some pink. All right. A lot of you have added to your own personal art kits. So if you have purple already and you have pink already, that's very cool. Everything is cool. If you don't, if you mix blue and red together, you will get pink. And if you want like a really light lavender kind of purple, then you just mix a little bit of white to it after that. Same thing with pink. Pink is just red and white. So as long as you have those three primary colors, you can actually mix absolutely anything. Okay, green is going to be yellow and blue. So you actually have absolutely everything that you need. Um, you will need water, water for your brushes, okay, to clean your brushes, certainly. And I usually keep 2 or 3 bowls out so I'm not spending a lot of time cleaning paint brushes. For paint brushes, what came in your kit is kind of a medium, large, and small brush. Okay, so first, and this egg does have some kind of like small detail on it. So I have a small brush that doesn't have a whole lot of hairs on it. Okay, maybe you can see it that way. And if you do not have one, and you, again, you'll know from other tutorials that we've done that you can make small detail brushes by taking the brush, or taking a brush that you is old that you don't use too much anymore. And what I did is I cut like most of the hairs off of it with my scissor. So there's just like a few hairs left there. You see that? Even less than that. So there's actually it's only about 4 or 5 hairs on there. But what it does is it enables you to make a very fine line. Okay. So this egg does not have any like dots on it, but you certainly could use the end of the brush if you want to put dots on there. We're going to go ahead and follow this design, but you can actually enhance them any way your heart desires. You are the creator, okay? So you will need brushes, you will need paints, you will need palettes, you will need art clothes. Now we're using acrylic paints to do this work. Acrylic paints, if they're wet and you happen to get them on you, you can use some warm water and soap, and most likely it will come out. All right, once it dries, it's there permanently. The only exceptions to that seems to be like if I get it on plastic, sometimes I can peel it off. But for the most part, acrylic paints, once they dry, they're there for good. Okay, so I'm going to say cover tables and floors with protective protective coat. So what you might want to do is they have like plastic tablecloth, like at the dollar store, an old sheet that you not using anymore, or a sheet that you use all the time. Um, anything to kind of cover tables, floors, anything that you want to protect. Also, you can wear a smock, and when we do our wine and paints and fine paints outside, I tell people wear a smock. But I also have art clothes. Okay, art clothes are clothes that kind of have paint all over them. Um, Lots of paint all over them. And even though I washed them, the paint does not come out because, like I said, once it dries, it's pretty permanently there. So, without further ado, okay, the only other thing that you really, really need to have is your hot cocoa. And I've added a chocolate chip cookie, which I already bit. Okay, so get your rock, put your base coat on it, let it dry, and then start me back up. Okay, so pause the recording and let your stone dry. Oh, before you let your stone dry, let's choose the paint. So you will want to mix a background color. Okay, so I did I'm going to do an off-white color, and I actually added the tiniest bit of red to it. And again, red and white comes out pink. Okay, so I took my white paint, a little bit of white paint here, then I dabbed into my brown and into my rose a little bit. And in your case, you can do red because again, red and white is pink. And see how this comes out just a very, very off shade of white here. Okay, so it's just a way to kind of prepare the rock, right? So this is a kind of off white. It's not a pure white. Like see it up against my shirt. So it's not a pure white. It has a little bit of brown in it, and I also mixed just a little bit of red or pink in there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish painting this. And then if you have a fan, put it in front of the fan, let it dry. And I would say do both sides. Okay. Now, you could very easily just do one side and it would be very pretty. I actually think you should do both sides. Okay. That way, when people whoever you give this egg to, or maybe you're going to keep it for yourself, no matter which way they hold it, It's going to be beauteous. So I'm going to let this egg dry. You let your egg dry, and then we will continue on. So what I have done here, one second, is I've repositioned the camera to hopefully give you the best view. My rock is now dry. I'm going to suggest that you get a pencil and make some guidelines. Okay. I think making some guidelines will make things a little bit easier for you. I'm going to go ahead and do mine with black paint so that you can see exactly where they go. Although you can see them in pencil here. But let's go ahead and use some. I'm going to use black paint. You use a pencil. And I'm going to put a teensy bit of black paint on my palette, like so. Okay, and when you're not using your paints, cover them. Acrylic paints have a tendency to dry really fast. Okay, so let's close this up. I'm going to use the finest brush that I have, and like I said, I actually kind of I pulled kind of one, and there's only a very few hairs on it. Okay, so if you don't have a very fine brush, you can do that too. And if you have any questions, absolutely text me or call me 978-807-7608. And I'm trying to try to get this line as fine as possible. Okay, so there's a line there, and I'm looking at my egg picture over here. Okay, so maybe if I lay it down flat and really go slow, okay, and these are by no means be my final line. I end up actually redoing them a number of times because when we do the background, sometimes the paint goes over those guidelines, which is fine. The guidelines really are just for guidance. Okay, I'm going to turn my plate around and I'm resting one hand on top of the other. Okay, so that I'm able to get a relatively smooth line here. Okay, so let one hand help the other hand by just kind of putting it here and resting this hand on it. And I'm making some wavy lines. You do not have to have wavy lines if you don't want wavy lines. I like wavy lines. Okay, so, and again, because I want to continue this design all the way around my rock, I need to refine some of these lines, and I'm going to have to let this dry actually before I can turn the rock over and do the other side. Okay, so let's go ahead and get as far as we can here. Okay, so I put my brush in the water. So this is what I have so far. Okay, now if you touch the black like I am, you're going to get it on the rest of your rock. So try not to do that. Okay, so and all the rocks are, none of them are perfectly egg-shaped, and neither is this one. Um, so let that be okay. Let it be part of the design. Okay, and over here, I went over my guideline just a little bit. Okay, so acrylic paints dry relatively fast. So I'm going to go ahead and just scan this for a few minutes. And now you should be using pencil. Okay, so you will not have to let this dry. I'm going to turn this over and Where's my paper towel? And do the other side here. Okay. So I'm gonna, again, I'm resting my hand on my other hand. Okay, I'm supporting one hand with the other hand. All right. And I'm actually connecting the these back lines with my front lines, at least as much as I can. Okay, this is coming this way. And again, if these don't come out perfect, let that be a-okay. Each one is going to be very unique, and that is definitely a goal. Okay, so I have this here, and this one going here, and connecting there. Okay, so I have another one up here. I believe I do. Okay, so this one's coming around here like this. And I'm going to try and pick it up where the paint is not wet. Okay, and bring this one right around here. Okay, again, supporting my hand with my baby finger this time. Okay, this can come around here like that. All right, and where I kind of touch the plate with it, I'm going to go ahead and fix it. And okay, so take your time. I say this in each tutorial just to kind of reinforce that, there's no need to hurry these at all. If I'm going too fast for you, go ahead and pause the recording and just, take your time and get it done, and then just resume the recording when you're ready, when we're both in the same place. Okay. What I also really, really try to get across is that if I'm going too slow for you, and you would think, okay, well, she's the teacher, no one's going to go too slow. But I find that there are times when students will try to go ahead. And when they do try to go ahead, if they make mistakes, then it's, by the time we get there, it's a little bit difficult to go ahead and fix those. So I'm going to say, if I'm too slow for you, kind of wait for me. Don't go ahead. Don't go ahead of me. Let's do like each step together. And if I'm going too slow, just wait. Let me catch up with you, and vice versa. Okay. So I am going to let that stay. My poor egg started out so beautiful, and now, okay. If I did not mention paper towels, and I'm not sure I did in the prelim, make sure that you have paper towels. Make sure you have paper towels nearby. Okay, you will definitely need paper towels. Okay, let me, if I didn't already say, you can use whatever colors you want in your egg. I'm going to go ahead and follow this color scheme just because I liked it the way that it was, and it was one of the reasons that I chose it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start putting in some of these colors. You can put in whatever colors you want, even as far as like the background color goes. You could make it yellow, you could make it blue, you can make these any colors that you want. So I'm going to kind of adhere a little bit to what's going on there. Okay, so the very first thing I think that I will paint are these pink stripes. So I see 1, 2, 3. All right, so I'm going to prepare my pink. All right, now, if you have pink, amazing, it's awesome. If you don't have pink, you are going to mix red and white together. And this pink is a little bit too strong here. I want my pink to be a little bit more gentle, like the pink that's in the picture. So I am going to mix white with my pink. Now, brush. Use a medium brush. And like I say, all the rocks are different sizes. So you want a brush that's comfortable, that's going to fit inside your spaces. So let me go grab a brush. All right. So I'm actually using kind of a small brush, probably smaller than what I need. But being a control freak, this will be what I want to do. So I'm going to, whenever you're mixing colors, always best to take the lighter color over the deeper color. Okay, and I'm going to do um, 1, 2, and 3. So I want to make sure I have enough paint for 1, 2, and 3 sections here. Okay, and as now the white is the lighter color, the red or the pink is the stronger color. So we're going to mix that into they're going to mix the darker color, the stronger color, into the lighter color. Okay, and I'm liking that the way it is. I'd like to tone it down just a little bit. So I'm going to choose a teensy bit of brown, or if you have black, use black, and that will actually tone it down a bit too. Okay, I'm liking that lots better. Okay, so I'm going to use this, and I am going to start up here. Okay, and again, I'm supporting my hand. I'm resting one hand on my table and the hand that's painting is resting on the hand that's on the table. Okay, so can you see that pink? Okay, and if you go over your pencil mark or your paint, whatever's on it, don't panic. Don't panic. It's okay. Okay, oops. Okay, I'm going to go to this side and do this one. So now I have a pink strip here. Okay, let's see if I can get it closer to you. Okay, can you see that beautiful pink strip right through here? Okay, so now I need another one down here. So again, holding my hand up against my plate, and the painting hand is resting on the hand that's holding the plate still. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm turning this around again, hand holding the plate, hand that's painting is resting on the hand that's on the table. Okay. Okay, and your hand actually has a very small comfort zone. So as you notice, I'm moving the plate around, okay, so that it accommodates my comfort zone and not the other way around, right? So this is going to be off right here. This is going to be off right here. We might have a little bit more pinky pink down here. And again, you know, if your color and your schemes don't match exactly, or you find that you have an extra strip or stripe somewhere, worry not. Okay, it's all good. Put this one up here because I like to have 3 pink stripes and see what's going on here. Okay, so I think this is what I want. All right, strip. Okay, so now I'm going to do the other side. All right, again, I'm supporting my paint hand with my babysitter this time, right? So you want to support the hand that's doing the painting. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just stuff my hand in here. All right. Now put this down. Do this guy. Okay. Here we go. And I'm going to do this last bit down here. Pinky, pinky. This last bit over here. I'm going to make pink. Okay, and let's kind of hold them for a few moments. Let them dry a little bit. I'm going to put my brush in the water. Okay, and now I'm going to take this and just give it a few, just let it dry a little bit. Like I said, acrylic paints dry relatively fast, but if we go ahead and rush them, then you're going to have a hard time holding them, especially where we're doing them on both sides. Okay, so what you can do is do one side first, then the other, if that works. You could do that. I'm going to go ahead and dry this side a little bit. And again, going too fast, stop the recording. Going too slow, hang in there and wait for me. Okay. Let's see here. All right, so let's let this hang loose for a few minutes. Let's see here. So now, after let your pink dry or whatever color it is that you're using on those strokes, and now we're going to do the ones in between. Okay, so we have our pink on. I'm going to go ahead and do this kind of whitish, off-white background, right? Which, and I actually got a little plastic shot glass from the dollar store and kind of placed it on there. But you can actually use anything that will lift that for you. And the only reason I'm doing that is it's relatively dry, but I think it could dry out a little bit more. So I'm going to do that. So go ahead and do these lighter areas, these off-white areas in here. And again, we kind of primed the rock by doing it that off-white color. So it shows through just a teensy bit and looks really awesome on here. So let it flow, let it go and do what it wants to do here. Okay, and again, make sure this hand is relatively steady here. So even if you have to kind of, like I said, support it, nothing wrong with that. Okay, so I'm going to put this on the table, resting my paint hand over it. And I don't have to necessarily do it here for the top, but where I'm kind of going around the edge here, I find that I do need to support that. Okay, so I am going to do that. Taking a look here. Okay. let's, don't forget to do the other side. Oops, wait, let's go in the camera. Let's do the other side here. Okay. Right, so I'm going to just bring this around a little bit here so that I match. There we go. Okay. Right. So again, I'm going to do both sides. You can do both sides or just one side, whatever your heart desires. I am going to rest that there. And once again, I'm going to dry off my rough for a few minutes. Oh, I just went into my brown paint. Okay. So let's let that dry for a few minutes. So this is what my rock looks like so far. Okay, I'm going to put it here. Okay, it's sort of dry. And I'm going to just go over this area a little bit. So now's the time to give things a second coat if you feel that you need them or want them, because we're going to move on to our next step. Okay, and I'm liking this background color here. Okay, let's see here. Okay. So voila. So now we're going to go ahead and put in these green bands. Okay, see these green bands going along here and here and here. Let's go ahead and put those in. And I suggest you use your finest brush for this. Okay, green, if you don't have green, mix yellow and blue together. Okay, and this dries so easily on here. Let's just pull this off of here, put it over there. And now I have some very green fingers. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of green on my palette. At least I hope I am. Wait a minute, let me get some green out here. Ta-da! Okay, so I didn't put like lots and lots of green because I don't necessarily think I'm going to need it. Also, I'm going to maybe put a little bit of yellow highlight. So take some of your yellow and just put it on here. Again, let's take off this dry part. And what it does is it just kind of dries on the neck of your paint if you're using tubed paints. Okay, so let's do that. So this is what my palette looks like. I have some green and some yellow. So I'm going to kind of stick with the green for now. And I'm going to go right where my guidelines were. Okay, and I'll show you in a minute what that looks like. Okay, see that green right there? That green line right there. And I'm actually going to make two green lines because I'm going to put the yellow in the middle. So again, you know, don't kill yourself doing this, but you want to make sure it's fun. Okay, so now I have a double green line here. And you're going to do the same thing here. And I am supporting my hand, the one on the dish. And my hand is sitting, my painting hand is sitting on my dish hand. You know you had a dish hand. Yeah. Okay. So I'm giving myself a little bit of an outline here. Okay. See the double lines. Okay. Coming round the bend. Okay. Support your hand. There we go. So this, if in fact you don't have a steady enough hand to do this, just make one line. You do not have to make two lines. Just make one line. Don't make any lines if you don't want to. Okay. You could dot along these lines, which would be very pretty. So what I'm kind of saying here is whatever you're comfortable with will work. Okay, let's do this. And around here. Give us a double. Another double. And in the long run, I would say most of the times I end up fixing these, or there's so much color on these eggs, and there's so much work that goes into them and whatnot that most of the time, I end up redoing the lines, which is not a big deal. Okay, just just for the fun of it, just fun. My thing is, if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. I used to, when I was younger, I'm kind of semi-retired now, but when I was younger, it was always, you tried to get everything just so, and I mean, there is a place for that, for sure. But people would say to me, "What are your goals? What are your goals?" And I was always like, "Well, to be self-employed, so I can spend my time doing things I love to do, so on and so forth." Um, as I got older, and people would say, "Okay, what, now that you're kind of semi-retired, do you still have goals? Do you just kind of go with the flow? What do you do now?" So I gave it some thought. And what I came up with is my goal is to have more fun today than I had yesterday, every day. I think that's a pretty lofty goal. And more fun today. Okay, so I dipped my brush into the yellow. All right, and now I'm just doing yellow right in between those lines. And I'll tell you something, that goal about having some fun each day, I take very seriously. Oh, look how pretty that is. If I can get it up there. Look at that. Look at that yellow. Beauteous. So I take that goal very serious because, as you get older, friends get sick, blah, blah, blah. So you start to really think about the fact that life can be very tenuous. You could get sick, you could be in bed, blah, blah, blah. And so I really, really want to enjoy every moment of my life? Well, I can. So people say to me, what's your goal? And that's what I tell them. Have more fun today than I had yesterday, every day. It's a very worthwhile goal, and it's fun. Does that mean that I never have things going on in my life that I have to really work with, or sometimes things happen that you don't have any control with? Absolutely not. I have just as much stuff going on as anybody else. But when your goal is in fact to enjoy your life, then most of the time that's exactly what it is. And when you can spend your time doing something you really, really love to do, it's a great feeling. It's a lot of fun. So these have some really cool yellow and green things going on here. Okay, go ahead and even some of them out. Okay, because like I said, I go over them, smooth them out. Ta ta ta. My sister lives out of state, so she's here visiting. And while she was here visiting, she got really sick and ended up in a hospital here in the area. And she, like I said, she lives out of state. So the fact that she got sick here, I actually am kind of grateful for, because now I was able to run back and forth from the hospital and make sure she had everything she needed, so on and so forth. But again, it also kind of reinforces, what she had complained, during my ear, I had earache, so on and so forth. But she ended up getting an infection and being really sick and ended up being in the hospital. So, and I mean, thank goodness she's fine now and doing really, really well. So, we're very thankful for that. But again, there's the whole, gee, I was fine a minute ago. What the heck happened? So now we make her take extra vitamins, do all the good stuff. And she's doing really, really good. But again, you never know. So absolutely, take your vitamins, enjoy your life. Enjoy your life. That's what we gotta do. Okay, so I'm going to not do the back yet. I'm going to continue to work on the front and let that back just dry out a little bit more. Okay, so this is my front, and it's really exciting. It's exciting. So I'm going to continue with the green and the yellow, and actually just make some leaves. Okay, so see these leaves here? I'm going to go ahead and put some leaves in, and then wherever I put the leaves, I'm going to put a flower in. Okay, so for right now, I'm just going to put in some leaves. Like, let me see, this kind of comes around this way. It actually goes this way. Okay, so change of plans. All right, because these stripes are going the opposite way, I am going to go ahead and finish the other side. Okay, so let's go ahead and now work on the other side a little bit. Let this dry for a few minutes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the other side here. Okay, so I'm going to put on my green lines and my yellow. And once again, don't fret if they're not like perfectly perfect. Okay, I see a fingerprint over here. Okay, so let's fix the fingerprint. All right, so my fingerprint is over here from not letting it dry really well, and that's a pinkish area. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, now I will tell you that if your lines do not line up, as this one kind of does not, I'm going to actually just put a leaf there. Okay, so put a leaf. If you have an arrow, put a leaf there. Hide it with a leaf. Okay, so the leaves are actually just kind of horizontal, not horizontal, teardrop shape. Okay, see those leaves? And then I'm going to just take some yellow and mix it right in the green, and that gives it a little bit of highlight, which is kind of cool. All right, and if you like, you could actually even add a little white to that. That would be pretty. Okay, so yellow highlights in my lines. Ta-da. All right, and again, anything that doesn't line up, there's another kind of little one going on here. I'm just going to put leaves. They can be big leaves, little leaves. Okay, put a leaf there. All right, I'm going to pick up some yellow, add some yellow to my leaf. Okay, that looks very sweet. And your leaves can be different sizes, of course. All right, so here is a good size leaf over here. And I'm going to see this big leaf here. I'm going to actually add another one way over here. Okay, and if your rock is dry enough to pick it up, that would make it even easier. This one actually is not. Okay, so now I'm starting to get in some of my leaves. All right, I'm going to take my paintbrush, put it in the water. I'm going to see if I can pick this up without putting more fingerprints and just kind of show you what's going on here. Okay, so I'm going ahead and adding some leaf work. Okay, and we want leaves to kind of go random places. Okay, and wherever we have leaves, we're actually going to put a flower there. Okay, so I have some here. I'm going to put some right here at the top. All right, and these are pretty much oval shapes with points. Ovals with points on them. Okay. And with each of them, I am putting a little bit of yellow in there just to give them a little teensy bit more color. Okay, and you could actually go the other way too. You could make them really light colors and then add dark for contrast, as long as the contrast is there. Okay, so adding my leaves. And I am looking at this handout to give me an idea about where maybe I'd like to put my leaves. However, I am definitely doing what I think is best for my composition. Whenever you're copying something on this idea, I always tend to think of it as just it's inspiring me. So in the end, if it comes out like a little bit different, I actually think that's a really good thing. What ends up happening is when it's kind of your own design. It feels really good. Feels like, oh wow, okay, mine's different, but it shows your personality, just your ideas, your taste, especially if you start playing around with the colors a little bit. Oh, very cool. Okay, I'm gonna put one right here, I think. And you don't always have to have two. You don't always have to have two leaves. Okay, there we go. Now it's kind of cool. I put one on the other side here, like right there. Okay, see that? Isn't that cool? Okay, let's see if I can pick up the camera and show you what that looks like. Ooh, that's kind of a cool trick. Cocoa here. Okay, while this is drying a little bit, I'm going to go ahead, and I don't know if you can see little white kind of dots or crystal sparkles. Um, you do have some glitter in your kits, and you could definitely use that. You could put some glitter on these. However, I will tell you that we are going to use glitter in a different tutorial that came with this kit. So totally up to you. But what I am thinking here is that I am going to take the handle, okay, this part. Okay, so here's the brush part. Here's the other part. Okay, so what I want to kind of do there, and I wonder if I have a smaller one, a little tinier brush. Oh, this one actually does look smaller. Or you could use the tip of a pencil even, which is a great idea. Everyone go get a pencil that you don't want to ever use again. Okay. All right, so I just went and got a regular pencil, and it's just sharpened just normally. I'm going to put it in the white paint, okay, and I'm just going to dot. And this looks totally cool. Wait till you see it. So I'm making little tiny dots here. Um, again, let's see. Oh, you can see it. Okay, it's right here. See those little tiny white dots? Okay, so just go ahead and put some dots in over there. So I'm just dipping my pencil into the white paint and making little dots in my pink. And I'm doing that while my leaves are drying. I have to say, my leaves have an awful lot of paint on them. So they are going to take a while to dry. So what you can do is certainly can fan them, which I do, fan them like with my paper plates and stuff. I also have a fan down here in the art room, and actually sometimes put them under the fan, and they actually dry a lot faster that way. Oh my gosh! Look at how pretty that is. Look. Nice. Okay, so feel free to change the color scheme around. Easter eggs or spring eggs if you don't do Easter. Um, I always feel like the kind of pastel colors, like purples and pinks and greens, good stuff like that. So I tend to go with the pastels, and I like the white in here. It makes it look even more gentle and Castelli, if that's a real word. Um, so I'm gonna kind of go with that. I think, and actually, dropping my brushes here, as I'm going along here, if I see like a little mistake that I can fix, I'm gonna go ahead and do that as well. I put another little fingerprint over here. So go ahead and fix them. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little more little white dots and actually every row of pink, I'm gonna do that. And when this side dries, I'm gonna do exactly the same thing to the other side. Okay, and these dots, I'm not putting them in a row or anything like that. They're just very randomly placed here. Okay, can you see that? That's very cool. All right, so let's do this part here. I'm putting my pencil down for a moment because I see where I can make another little correction here. So go ahead and make your corrections. Now is the time to do it, actually. Okay, that looks pretty good here. Okay, so that's going back in the water, and now I'm doing more of my pencil work, which is just dots here. So this actually, some people will say, "Oh, gee, you must be a really patient person." I want to say I don't know. I don't know that I'm a particularly patient person, but like everyone else, when I like what I'm doing, I can sit there and do it for quite a while. Um, Painting and drawing and doing all these cool things. I could sit here for many hours and do this and have. And the weird thing about it is that when you really enjoy what you're doing, it's like time changes. It's like the passage of time changes. Like you become one with what you're doing. And, one time I'm like working away and I'm like, oh, wow, this is fantastic. And I'm having a great time. And then all of a sudden, I kind of stopped having a great time. My back was a little sore. I had to go potty and I was hungry. So I looked at the clock, and lo and behold, I had been painting for like 5 hours. I'm like, no wonder I have to go back. No wonder why I'm hungry. So, and of course, I had no idea that 5 hours had gone by because I was totally thrilled and enthralled and whatever you want to call it, and just like I said, the time, become one with time, and it kind of passes differently, moves differently. Okay? So I'm going to just clean off my little pencil here because um, the paint is definitely drying on me. And this guy is still pretty wet here. And now that I have all these little dots over here, I really got to take a few minutes and just really let this dry a few minutes. So after that side dries a little bit, go ahead and flip it over and let's work on the other side. Okay. So again, I'm mixing some some of the green and yellow together. Okay. And putting some leaves here and there. Okay, I think I'm going to switch to a longer brush. Okay, so in the end, whatever brush is comfortable for you, that's the one you want to use. Okay, so this one has a little bit of a point on it, and I can get some really awesome leaves going here. Okay, and now the back side of your rock is going to have the designs going in the opposite direction. So you really can be very random. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna put another one here. Okay. Maybe another one there. Maybe. So again, let your rock take on a life of its own. Okay, I'm going to get this leaf in here like this. And I'm going to get my small little brush. And again, I'm going to just get a little bit of kind of veiny vine work here. So look at this one. I'm taking my small brush and just brushing some yellow through it. You could also brush some white through it. Let's try the white and see what happens here. Yeah, let's do this one. Okay, so actually the white is pretty as well. Gives a very different look to it. Okay, let's add a little bit more green. Liking it, liking it. Okay, so we have some really cool stuff going on here. I'm going to do the same thing to this side that I did with the other side, which again is to take my trusty pencil, put it in the white, and begin to make some dots. All right, and if you worked on both sides of your rock like I did, don't forget to do your sides. And I hope that you did do both sides of your rock. Like I said, it gives it a really, really nice finished look. Okay, see those dots? I think you can see them. Awesome. Okay, so finish with my dots. Okay, so if you go right up on the tip of the pencil, you can get some really nice dots. If you have a bead of paint, you can actually tap on the side a little bit and get some really interesting sizes here. Okay, so on the side, just tapping makes them nice. On the point, makes them really round. And you can also get some nice, interesting sizes because it depends kind of like how much paint is on the pencil point. Okay, so go ahead, have a little bit of fun here, experimenting with your dots. And actually, if you have a lot of paint on your pencil tip and you just continue to dot, the first dots that you get will be on the bigger side. And then as you continue to dot and the pencil runs out of paint, the dots actually become smaller. Okay, so that's pretty cool there. So you could actually dot on the other stripes as well. Certainly you could do that. I don't think I want to do that. I would like to have the variation in there. Well, this is pretty good. Look, I can still use my pencil. All right, I'm going to put that there in case I want to do more. Now, the thing that we want to do is begin to put in some of these flowers. All right, so decide what colors your flowers are going to be. All right, in here we have darker pinks, some violet, and we actually have some cranberry colored flowers in here. And again, hopefully you have a decent handout. Kind of looks like that. But again, these flowers can be any color that you decide you want them to be. Because I already have a kind of dark pink out here, I'm going to go ahead and try putting in some of these pink flowers. Now, if you don't have pink in your set, you haven't added to your set, mix a little bit of red and white, okay, and that will give you different shades of pink. If you want a darker pink, you're going to add more red to your white, and then you'll get a darker shade of that. All right. If in fact you want purple, you're going to mix red and blue together. All right. And you're going to end up with purple. And if you want a light lilac-y purple, after you get your purple, you're going to add some white to it. Okay. Okay. So here's purple. Here's my pink. I'm going to work with the pink first, I think. Okay. So for my flowers, I'm going to choose the same brush that I used to make my leaves. So that means clean that brush, Johnny. So, all right, and have at least two different size brushes, like maybe a small one, a medium one, and the large one, I'm going to say, depending on the size of the rock that you have, probably going to be too big. The big one's probably going to be too big. Okay, so what I would like to do here is basically I would like to just dip my brush in the pink or the red, whichever you have, and I would like to just lay it on these leaves. Okay, just and not drawing them out. I'm just pushing down on the brush and I'm making 5 petals. Okay, let's see if we can get this to show a little bit better for you. Okay, see that? See that flower? Right? So that's with the brush that I made, the same size brush that I used to make my leaves. So when that dries, I'm going to actually put a center on there. Okay, so I'm going to use my small brush to just kind of put in some of these little baby flowers over here. Okay, and again, I'm not really drawing. I'm just kind of tapping, tapping the brush to the stone, to the rock. I was going to say to the canvas, kind of a canvas. Okay, so can you see those? Can you see those little flowers? Okay, I'm afraid to pick this up because of the little dots on it. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, see those little flowers? Okay, so I'm liking those, and I'm going to actually make a few more. And this one I'm going to put right over my white dot here. Okay, so I have kind of one big flower, a bunch of little guys going on over there, and I'm actually going to make another little tiny guy right here, because I can. There's another little tiny one right here. Okay, so there's something to be said with a brush that has very few bristles going on. Okay, so I like that. Let me see here. Let me do, I think, a few more pink ones here. And I'm going to, I don't know if the light ones will actually show up. They do, they do. I'm going to make it kind of small. Okay, and again, I'm just touching the brush to this rock. Okay, give it a little bit more color here. All right, I'm liking that. I'm going to go ahead and put another one here. I'm actually kind of grouping all the kind of dark pink ones together. And then I'm thinking that I will go ahead and maybe put some of the purple ones in here. Ah, hold that thought. So what I did is I actually dropped my paintbrush on the floor. All right, so I have retrieved my paintbrush, thank goodness. I'm going to go ahead and put some pink flowers down here, and over here I'm going to put some of the purple. Okay, so again, use your imagination, do what you want to do. All right, and rather than try and draw these flowers on, just touch them. Just touch the brush to your stone, to your rock. Okay, and I am going to put some little guys in here as well. That was like really fun to do. Okay, so here's a little guy. I'm gonna put another one right here. So these are very simple flower forms. Okay, I'm gonna fill that in just a little. Okay, and then I mixed some of the dark pink in with the light pink just to have a little bit of a different color here. Okay, and if your flowers overlap or touch each other, all the better. It gives your flowers some really good perspective. See if we can get in a little bit closer here. How's that? Looking good. Okay, so for these inside here, I'm going to go ahead with the purple. And I like the size that these flowers came out. So I am going to actually use the same size brush, the same brush as a matter of fact, and just kind of clean it off. All right, so this is my dark purple. So I'm not sure if it's not too dark. I'm going to check it out and see what that looks like. Okay, so maybe a teensy bit dark. So I'm going to take some of my white and add a little bit of purple to the white. And what that's going to do for me is give me like a lilac color. Okay, and I'm not going to pick up what I put down there. I'm just going to go right over it, which actually ends up looking pretty because now I have dark and light on there. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so I think I'll do the same thing. That all I need is go dark. And there's a lot of white still on my brush. So it's coming out coming out lilac. Very pretty. Very pretty. Sometimes, sometimes you can have what Bob Ross used to call happy little accidents. And even though I won't say this is an accident, I actually like the fact that they're coming out kind of dark and light here without my actually having planned it. What a good. So I'm liking that a lot. Very pretty, very pretty. Okay, and I think what I'll do is I'll turn the brush around so that I'm on that point. And these are going to make a little bit bigger dots because it's bigger than a pencil point. And I'm not necessarily going to put them in the stripe. I'm actually going to put it in the middle of the flower so it has a center. Okay, and then a few little dots around it, and I'm making them different sizes. You see that? I think you can. Okay, same thing here. Middle dot, really heavy purple, and then I'm not pressing very hard on this paintbrush. Okay, and I'm wondering about now putting that in, or should I do white? I think I'll save it and do the white in there. Okay, so I'm actually cleaning off my brush, the tip of my brush. Okay, so I cleaned it off, and now I'm dipping into the white and have quite a bit of white on the bottom of this. So I'm going to touch it to the middle of the pink flower, and that actually works. And then just a little bit, oops, less gem, and put it right in these little guys. Okay, one little guy here and one little guy there. Okay, that looks awesome. I'm going to take this and clean the edge of the brush again. Okay, now we want to do the same thing to the other side. And let me pick this up so you can see what this looks like. Okay, that's what that looks like. Right, so I'm going to let this dry out just for a few seconds, just so that I can turn it around and do the other side. Okay, so let that side dry out a little bit, and when it's dry enough, flip this over, and once again, I'm going to put some of the pink and purple flowers in that center ring. Okay, I believe so. Okay, let's do it. So again, use the brush that gave you the best results for your flowers. And I'm going to clean mine off. Okay, so I think I'm going to have, all right, so I'm mixing purple and white and coming up with a very lilac kind of color. However, I did like doing the dark first. Now this brush actually has white and purple on it. So let's see what that's going to look like. I think. And again, I'm just pressing this to the stone. And that actually is very pretty. Okay, let's pick this up. Okay, very pretty, very pretty color. So let's go ahead and do another one. Okay, so I'm going to do a smaller one here. Now, even though I'm using the same brush to do this, I'm not pressing as hard and I'm not putting the whole brush on the stone. Okay, so I actually have a smaller little flower here. And then, as before, switching to my brush that doesn't have lots of hairs and putting some little baby ones on here. Okay, so there's a lot of paint on this little baby brush. So the flowers are coming out quite thick. Make this one a little bit smaller still. Okay, I don't see a lot of small flowers on that handout, but I like the way that they're coming out. So I'm going to add them anyway. Right? So you don't have to. You don't have to add them. You can add them if you want to, and you don't have to if you don't want to. So I'm going to take some of the darker purple and just put it around some of my petals here so I can see them better. I like that idea. Defining my petals a little bit more. Okay. And now I think I'm going to put some pink ones over here. So that means cleaning off my purple brush. Okay, clean off the purple brush. And I'm going to put some pink ones going here. I'm going to put the pink coming down this side. Let's see if we can't get a better look for you. That could do the trick. Okay, so dipping into my pink and see where I have my leaves and stuff. I want to put some there. I also would like to put one right here. And again, just tapping the stone, the rock, okay, and see that flip? Can you see it? It's right there. Hold that thought. Let me pick this up once again. See, there it is. It's right here. Okay, so hopefully you can see that well. And see these here? See these? I'm going to put some there as well. And I have that big purple one. And I have these little pinky ones down here. So I think a beautiful pink flower would look awesome there. Okay, so I'm adding a little bit more paint because the green under there is quite thick. So I added a little bit more paint. Okay, same thing here. All right, and I'm making, if you haven't noticed, I'm making 5 petals to each flower. Now, you could make more or less if you wanted to, but it's a general rule of thumb to use odd numbers. Okay, so 3 petals, I don't know if that would look good. 4 petals would look kind of boxy. So 5 petals does the trick. 5 petals. Yay! Okay, so sometimes you have an accident like this. Right? So let's do a little cleanup work here. All right, so excuse the arm. I need another little cup where that one kind of fell over. Okay, and then I'm going to just take this and just clean this up a little bit. Now, because this is very wet, it's relatively easy to clean. Okay. So let's do a little bit of cleanup. All right, now this side got a little messed up too, but it's relatively dry. So I'm going to put it back on here and I'm going to get some Q-tips. So hang in there for a moment. Okay, let's do some cleanup. Now, let me tell you that clean, clean your hands as well so that you don't get any more paint on them. But I'm just dipping a Q-tip in some water, okay? And what I want to do is take this paint off my white here, okay, and off this green. Now, before I started putting this color on here, the background was relatively dry, so it's actually pretty easy to get this paint off of here, okay? So that's pretty clean. And then I lost just about all this flour. And the reason for that was when it started to fall, I grabbed it. Okay, so I'm going to grab another Q-tip, right, and wet it. And I'm going to pick up this excess paint into here. Now, it's not enough to just kind of pick it up right there. Okay, this actually needs to be repaired a bit. So accidents are always going to happen. If in fact you get upset by it, all right, you'll aggravate, you'll aggravate yourself, that's for sure. But it doesn't really help your picture any. Okay, so this, I'm going to go ahead, take my white and actually fix this. I'm painting over it. Right, I'm actually going to paint over here too, where my dots were, but I'm going to paint it kind of pinky. Okay, and that way I can put more white dots over it. Okay, so a little repair work here and there. Right. So let's fix this little guy here. And we need some repair work over here. I'm going to take a little bit of white and there's already pink on it. So, plus we are going to go ahead and put the flowers back on. So, if you don't get like a really exact match, don't panic. Okay, so there is some repair work that needs to be done on the other side, but we absolutely need to let that dry out. Okay, we're going to let this side dry out before we try and fix the other side. Okay, there's a flower back there. Let's fix that little guy. There we go. Okay. All right. So this side actually, even though it doesn't quite look it, once I put this flower back on here, okay, it'll look a little bit, you won't notice the big boo-boo, okay, because I'm going to cover it. Okay, so this, all right, is now our flower. Okay. All right, we have two flowers that got wrecked over here, and they're the smaller flowers. So again, we're not going to press too hard here. Okay, so there's one. Okay, and this one has about 3 petals left. Right, so I am going to just kind of dot over the petals that are there so that we have some good continuity. Okay. All right, so my two flowers are back. My big flower is back over here. Do we need anything else here? There's a little guy in here that looks okay. Let's take a teeny brush with no hairs on it. And any place you feel needs a little touch up, Go ahead and do it. Well, actually, hopefully you didn't drop yours like I did, so you don't need to do a touch-up. However, if in fact you find that you have done something like this, please, please don't panic. First of all, it's only, I mean, it's not the end of the world, certainly. Can it be a pain in the patootie? Absolutely. But when it comes right down to it, it's not a big deal. Okay, so I'm putting another flower here, a purple flower here, like this. Okay, that looks pretty cool over there. I have some more leaves here. So I could go either purple or pink, but I think I want to go purple and keep these purple flowers kind of bunched together a little bit. Looks really cool like that. Okay, so I'm going to do a dark one here. And actually, I'm going to use the bigger brush. Okay, so I'm going to use the bigger brush to go ahead and make a bigger flower here. Okay, so if you do have your rock sitting on something, make sure it's stable. So even though these little cups are stable, I didn't have the rock sitting on there exactly right. So that is what happened there. So this one looks a little bit fuzzed here. Let's go ahead and redo it. Good. Okay. So this flower actually ended up being over one of the smaller flowers as well. So the way to fix something like that happens is just to redefine the flower. And you can redefine the boundaries of that flower. Okay, in this case, because it was a combination of two flowers, that means it is a big flower. Okay, all right, that is looking good to me. I'm going to go ahead and put in white centers on my pink flowers. And I'm going to use the somewhat bigger brush or the same brush that I actually used to make the flowers because I should get a pretty good center that way. Okay, so I'm doing a white center and I'm just kind of dabbing in the centers here. Okay. So I'm going to look at these flowers and see, do I need something else going on there? Right, so I like these white centers here. Let's go ahead and put them in. Right, so my other purple flowers on the other side have dark purple centers. These have lighter centers. Okay, and I think I want to put one more flower up here, and I'm thinking purple. All right, so I want one here, and it doesn't have to be a real huge one, but I want some color right there in that space. Right there. Let me see what you look like. Nice. Very nice, very nice. Can you see that? Right there. And this one, I am going to put a dark purple center. And the only reason I'm choosing a dark purple center for that one is because the petals on it are white. Okay, so the petals that are a little bit darker, we put a lighter center on. and the ones that are a little lighter, put a darker. Okay, so this is what this looks like. We're going to let this dry for a few moments, and then we're going to pick it up, take a look. All right, my darlings? Okay, so let this dry out just for a few moments. So I'm going to go ahead and do some touch up on this other side, on this back side. Okay, and hopefully you do not have to do any touch up because you did not drop yours. Okay, so here's just a little bit of touch up going on here. Okay, all right, so this is what we look like here. And let me stand up here. And the camera is at a really weird angle. However, this is what our finished piece looks like. Turn the camera around this way so I don't drop it. Okay, so this is what we started out with. Okay, and this is what we ended up with. And I'm going to say after this dries really, really good, if you have some spray varnish, varnish the little dickens. And if you don't, like I said before, some really cheap hairspray that's very lacquery will actually work as well. Um, Sparkle on this would look beauteous. Trying not to put it down here. I need to blow on it for a while. But if you don't have sparkles, and like I said, there are sparkles in this month's art kit from Drake Council on Aging, but we are going to do something else with those sparkles. But the other thing that you can always do, okay, is for you guys, borrow your girlfriend or your wife's New Year's Eve nail polish and get a little sparkly stuff going on there. You can never quite have enough fling. But even if you don't, it's quite beautiful just the way it is. Okay. So I am going to try really hard not to mess this baby up and put it, maybe I just got to hang on to it. Okay. So I'm going to sit down for a second while I'm holding this little guy. And I want to say thank you to all of the fun people at the Drake Council on Aging. Special thanks to Miss Bethany, the director there. I want to also a shout out to the Friends of the Drake Elderly, the Cultural Council of Drake, and just all the amazing folks there at DATV. Ron at DATV puts these on the TV for us and does a good job with that as well. Tara at BATV, Debbie Shirley at the GHAA. So there's a lot of people doing a lot of work here. So our greatest thanks to all of those folks. We are still not back in our home. We are still at the Christchurch United, 10 Arlington Street in Drake. Friday classes, 11 to 12:30 every single Friday. They are $10 a class. Give me a call. If you're interested, give me a call. I'm Joni, 978-807-7608. Or you can email me at Jonissa, Joan as in Nancy, is as in Stephen, at Comcast.net. You can call the center. They will have that information as well. And until next time, you guys be legendary. Okay? Have fun and I'm going to just keep holding this until it dries now. I don't want to drop it again. All right, guys, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.